Have a unique challenge this week at strong safety, given the injuries. What have you seen from Marcel Harris to this point, and is he ready to come up if the case warrants that?
We'll see through this week, going through communication and all that stuff, but he's going to get his opportunity sooner than later for sure.
Obviously, Powell is thrown into a pretty tough situation. How did he fare, and do you think what will he have learned if he has to play a big role Thursday?
It was he kind of got thrust in there. There's only so many reps you can get during the week from a repetition standpoint, but he did some good things. Obviously, he wants some plays some things that he wants back, but if Tart's unable to go this week, he'll have another opportunity to prove himself. We have tremendous faith in him. He's a good football player. That's why he's here. So, you can go throughout the entire game. I'm sure every player would like a few things back. It's just the fact that it happened in the fourth quarter and the way it did. So, I haven't lost faith in Powell and his ability to play football.
How do you think Jimmy did moving back to free safety?
Jimmy did a really nice job. Really, really nice job. He made a couple of plays. There was one that we were talking through that he'd like back, but other than that, I thought he did a great job communicating. He looked very comfortable back there, and he looked good.
You've seen him in both spots. Is he a better free safety than a cornerback?
I'm not lying when I say this. I think he's an unbelievable corner and an unbelievable free safety. When I say it, I really mean it. He's one of the best 11 football players on this team on defense, and he's a tremendous athlete. And the issues for him has always been his durability. And as soon as he figures out how to stay healthy, he can be a very, very, very good football player in this league.
Robert, what could you have done on those last two touchdown drives to get a better pass rush?
You know what? The first touchdown drive, they had the explosive play. I'm going back to the 2-minute drive. That first touchdown drive happened. We got the takeaway in the second drive of the fourth quarter. On the last drive of the fourth quarter, you could easily get into calling pressures and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And I'm always going back to self-evaluate on things that I could have done a little bit better for the group. And you know what? We had played great defense, and the quarterback did a great job. He orchestrated a 12-play drive, something that they hadn't been able to do the entire game. And it's very easy for me to go back and say I should have, based on game planning and all that stuff. Just like the Green Bay game. Green Bay, we went in very, very aggressive. Got beat this game. Don't think we were still aggressive in our man coverages and all that stuff, and we got beat. So it comes down to coaches making the right call and players executing, and in those fourth quarters, it's about finishing. And it's not just players finishing. It's coaches, players. It's the entire organization. It's got to find a way to finish these games, and that's why we've had 5 opportunities this year in the fourth quarter where we've been tied or have the ball or had the lead, and one of the 3 sides of the ball have to stand up. And that's a big emphasis this week in finishing what we've been able to do for 3.5 quarters.
Are there any trends that you see in any of those kind of fourth quarter collapses that you can take as a coaching staff?
You know what? Situational awareness, obviously. Understanding down and distance, understanding what you're being asked to do, understanding what you did the entire game, and how 2-minute does not change anything. It's just a continuation of dominating your technique and doing your job. But you could always take some stuff, especially when it doesn't work. Especially when you don't come out on top, you could always go back and look and pinpoint every little detail. But it always comes back to technique, execution from a player standpoint, and it comes down to coaches making the right call and putting the players in position to be successful.
Robert, just because of the way he was used in college, I think there were some questions about, if Warner was going to be able to handle the rigors at inside linebacker in the NFL. Does he, answer those questions to you?
I think so. I think he's getting better every week. I do, and he's learning new things every week with regards to how to defend himself in the run game. But he's coming along, and he's only going to get better. He's getting into the part of the season where that rookie wall starts to hit, and so he could use a break. But he's tough. He's got great mindset, and I mean he's a film junkie. So I'm really excited about the direction he's going in.
What are the areas where you don't really need to improve?
Say, Fred?
What areas do you?
Understand the big area where he needs to improve, in my opinion, would be getting another tool to himself in block protection, which is run game, taking on second level blockers, O linemen, being able to set edges in a different way. You know, we had Telvin Smith in Jacksonville, who was 215 pounds and would sometimes get washed, and Fred's a bigger linebacker, but being able to utilize some of those tools that we taught, that Telvin kind of adopted, to be able to ward off those big 300-pound linemen where you're not just beating yourself into a wall. So he's working on that. D'Amico does a great job drilling it and putting him through those to get him those extra tools in his toolbox, stuff that he never had to do in college. So he's going to be good.
How much are you involved in this time of year with the trade deadline coming today? Are you completely separated from all that stuff? Do people in the personnel department pick your brain about someone you might have coached or anything like that?
If something comes up, I'd be asked, but I'm not.
If you guys have to play Marcel Harris because of injuries, do you have a good enough handle on him to know what positions, what spots you can put him in?
Well, he's been I shouldn't say limited, but he's been exclusively at strong safety. So he's been getting mental reps and all that stuff at strong safety. So that's what we're sticking to. And
But I mean, just kind of how do you, like, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses
yeah,
are.
no, he hasn't. We feel good about what we saw in college on what he can and can't do. There's going to be some fundamental stuff that he needs to work on. Obviously, he hasn't had the tracking reps, the tackling reps, the going through the fire of just snapping things out of his mouth from a communication standpoint. So it's going to be trial by fire, just like it is for a lot of these young guys. But feel confident of what we saw in college and how he's been able to communicate in meetings and practice and all that stuff. So it's just a matter of continuing to work and progress, so that way when he does take the field, he's full go.
When Ruben left the game, did both Malcolm Smith and Elijah Lee play at that Will spot?
Yeah, Elijah started off, and then at halftime we got Malcolm in there also.
Is that because Malcolm had played Sam all week and Elijah was
didn't want to mess with the having to change two different people to satisfy one injury.
Does that mean if Ruben doesn't play this week that it would be Malcolm as the Will?
It could be. Him and Zach, we're going through that right now, and we'll see with walkthrough and as the week progresses with regards to their bodies.
When you mention the communication, how many guys are talking at once? Is everybody on the defense kind of trying to say something before snap, or is that kind of rely on only a couple people on the
defense? From a communication standpoint, it starts with from the huddle, Will linebacker giving down and distance, free safety giving personnel, Mike linebacker giving the call, making sure everyone's on the same page of exactly what the situation is. Huddle breaks, Mike linebacker gives a close call to set the defense, and then from there it's corners talking about receiver splits to talk to the linebackers. It's in-box defenders, if there's a Y off, talking about possible cut from a Y, like from a tight end to alert the DN who's got cut. There's just constant communication on everything that you see. Back is tight, gun sets, whatever you see from we call them indicators, from an indicator standpoint to make your buddy around you more aware of the situation or the play that could be coming. So we always talk about don't keep secrets. If you have something, talk about it. And you might be wrong, but that's okay. As long as we're talking and communicating, you're just triggering, and people are constantly talking. It just helps everybody around them.
Does the strong safety have a particular job? You just listed like the mic and the free
safety.
safety.
So post-snap, strong safety, again, he's talking about things that are included in the box. So if it's man coverage and he's over the Y and the Y's in a position where he can go behind the line of scrimmage, he's got to talk to the Will linebacker, possible back, we call it, possible 3-on-2 if we're in man coverage. If he's in a position where there's a receiver in tight, talking to our linebacker in 3 deep who's got those over routes. Corners, if there's cut splits, it's all the same. So they all talk. they should all be talking.
What went into the decision in August to switch Powell from corner to safety?
Part of the decision was that Powell is a good football player, and we had some good corners, and at that strong safety spot, you know, when Chancellor went down, Marcel was hurting. We got very thin very quick, and so we needed to find a backup strong safety, and we really like Powell and what he can do in his athleticism. We really like Exum and his athleticism, and so we transferred both of those, free safety and Powell, over to strong safety to give them an opportunity to go win that job as the backup strong, and they've both done a great job, to be honest with you. And to answer your question,
Is that similar to what he played in college? He was a safety in college, right?
I believe so. I believe played strong. Yeah, he did play strong in college.
Robert, have you heard secondhand or otherwise from the NFL about just the helmet-to-helmet penalties? I think there have only been 3 called in the regular season. Obviously, it was a big deal in the preseason. Do you understand why it's not called?
I believe when they, and this is just me guessing, I haven't really talked to anyone, but I believe that when they went and changed the rule and talked about intent, kind of clarified the rule for everybody. You know, with players, it happens in a millisecond. You can tell when there's intent to lead with your helmet and use your helmet as a weapon, and you can tell when it's just the helmet made contact because the guy was trying to make a good form tackle and it just his head got in the wrong position. So I think the NFL did a great job in cleaning up the rules, so it was much easier to call.